Hey everybody, coming at you. It's Dipper here on today's the first daily segment of mine, and where I talk about video games that I like and share my experiences of said video games with you guys. So without further ado, let's get started. Now today's video is going to be about probably one of my earliest childhood series ever, and that would be the Megaman Network series, hence the title. And yeah. I've played that game for years now. I actually don't even care to count, to be real. I remember the first actual Mega Man Battle Network game I ever played / owned was Mega Man Battle Network 3 Blue. And it was fun. That was actually my favorite one ever kind of deal. It was just so great. It did everything correct for me in the series. I think was right. Okay, well, back up at the first one, the second one, I played every game past that as well, and that one just the greatest one to me. But more onto that later. So my first impressions of it was a fun game. Since before then, I had actually never played the platformers. I know, gasp, shock, awe. I had never actually played the platformers, at all. So I came into it completely, untouched by that. The classic Mega Man-ness. And it was really fun. I liked it. I like RPGs. So it had the very RPG vibe to it. I liked it. I dug it. I dig it. So it was everything correct. I didn't actually get to playing any of the platformers until maybe a year or so, 2 years after that, because my cousins had the OG anniversary collection, Megaman anniversary collection, which had the first 8 games, before 9, 10, and 11, all that jazz. So it just to the gameplay, the actual gameplay of it was just, again, very super fun. It was like an RPG. I loved it. I love RPGs, but the whole turn-based ones are some of my favorites, actually. I love action RPGs, I love open world RPGs in general, some of my favorites. But those turn-based ones are really cool. And this is a pseudo turn-based one too, because it has this the quick some bar at the top that fills. Go into this menu, you select your things and I guess your abilities, I guess what the battleships are like, and then you use them. because it's again, traditional turn-based, when you go into a random battle, and I guess this is and the reason why I really cribbed onto this was kind of like an action RPG mixed with a turn-based RPG a little bit, but it was more so in your favor, because the opponent always was ready and had a turn, quote unquote, but you got to go into your menu and get your battle chips. And it was the first time I experienced anything like that of other traditional turn-based RPGs like Final Fantasy, the turn-based ones that I played, and Pokemon. They were all very different. There was, again, each person had a turn which they did things. There was never this, you were fighting on this arena waiting for your bar to fill kind of deal. On the stages where you could pretty much move within the confines of them. When you go into these random battles, it is a, 3x3 stage kind of deal, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a 3x3 stage. One side red, one side blue. On one side, your opponent's on the other side, and you fight. Mega Man really has his Buster and his Charge Shot, which initially only does 10 damage fully charged. At least in Battle Network 3. In earlier games, it did less because they had heavier emphasis on those RPG elements where you had to upgrade the Buster to get to fully charged powers, 50 damage when fully charged, and 5 for every single shot. So it follows that kind of mentality. and again, I dug it. It definitely slapped, but I didn't play those my first time. The first one I played was Megaman 3, and which did away with that, like trying to find like those level up items and leveling up like that. Kind of did away with that kind of in favor of putting everything on the Navi customization system, which is really fun and cool, and I like it because with the Navi custom system you can put in programs and other things into Megaman. I would say Net Navi, which is what they're called, but into Megaman, and just make him pretty and it makes it added a new layer of complexity. Once they went back to the other ones, they felt kind of bare by comparison. Not that they weren't fun, but they felt kind of bare. But 3 were just the perfect culmination of what the first 2 games did and built on, doing away with certain things and adding the Navi customization system in its place. That's what I liked, and it worked. That's how you bring a system up to like its like peak potential right there. And I was just so very happy because I'm just like, oh wow, I picked a really good game to start with, because it kind of went out of order. I was familiar with the story of Mega Man, so to speak, but I never actually played any of the classic Mega Man games until later. Because I don't know why, I just never went out of a way to get them. So sure, I guess that was my own fault. Then again, I was a kid, and I would just kind of everything sparkly, shiny, new. I just kind of grabbed onto. Anyway, like because I just remember when I was a kid that I didn't really care about the story as much, which they weren't great. They were just there were stories mostly about, again, insert generic anime plot here, the true power of friendship, and that humans and Net Navis can understand each other and all their crap. And I'm just like, yeah, that's about it. I mean, there's more to it, and I'll get into that later. What really caught my attention was the gameplay of it, the art style of it, the asymmetric view of it. That everything was just, oh wow, this is really cool. And the music was awesome. And my favorite inclusion into the series ever, which is why my little said they changed it and Bound Network 4, was the style change. That was just the funnest. Yes, it was random. You couldn't control which one you got in stage, kind of deal. Because how you obtain, because once you go progress through the story to get it, you have a certain one insert one of the many style changes here. But how you change it depends on how you fight. Like there is team styles, which are like the summoner class. There are the gut style, ground style, shield style. It was actually quite fun. It kind of fit whatever you wanted to do, where kind of streamlined it and tailor-made it kind of sort of to you kind of deal. It felt more personal. And you could and as long as you played that same way, you kept getting team styles, you kept getting shields, you kept getting guts, you kept getting ground, etc, etc, etc. How you get these certain team styles, gut styles, or whatever. Shadow style, obviously my favorite. I forgot to mention that. Is how you use your battle chips, how you play the game. For team styles, you have to use a lot of mega chips. Those are your summons and the whole team style ability, that you have more mega chips in there. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Shield style, you have to use a lot of barriers and ores and whatnot. You get that. Guts style, they use a lot of machine gun, Vulcan abilities. I know it's been a while now to look it up, but I'm not really here to be 100% accurate. I'm just going over my experience is with it, giving me some minor, more technical detail as I go along. I'll get Shadow Style, again my favorite, because ninjas is the oh, got style ability. And then you get like a Guts machine gun, so after they tapping like the Buster fire button, you have like a rapid fire Buster, which makes you also temporarily invincible. The shield style ability is you chef with the berry, which there's a chip for that, so program for that and a chip for that. So I never found it particularly useful. Shrug. And Shadow Style, you get using like invis chips, anti-damage. You had to play a lot of those, like the ninja, stealthy like ones. And its ability is when you do a charge shot, you turn invisible. Sorry about that. You turn invisible, which almost equals invulnerability, which you can be used for great effect with certain like self-harming battle chips. And from there we have one of my favorite ones, Bug Style and Hub Style. Bug Style is a style change you can only really get when you do the whole... there's a bug in Megaman. It's like in the Navi customization screen, you can go in there. But if there's a bug in this system where a bug occurs when you have two programs of the same color touching each other, or put one of like the regular programs on like the program line thing, and then you create a bug in the system. It's pretty easy to get one. Pretty easy to get Bug Style, and it is simultaneously the best and worst style, because on the opposite, on like the good end of the spectrum, you have like you can become invincible with a barrier, like maxed out Buster, and just be broken and untouchable. On the opposite end of that, your Buster could be weak or do nothing, constantly hemorrhaging health, and you just take a lot of damage. So it's a bug. It's random. If you have Hub Style, which I never got, none of my playthroughs I never got. Even to this day, I just never bothered. It wasn't as entertaining for me. So I have to like go through all this crap to get Hub Style. I just wanted to play the game, and I wanted to enjoy myself. I didn't want to have to like bust hump, so I never actually got to experience it. Like you get like a permanent like full synchro from like that's something from Battle Network 4, which is just kind of fun, I guess. But all your things like do ×2 damage or something like that. But in the Shred figure, you take more damage. I think that's it. I don't remember exactly because I never got it, so I don't remember it as much as well. There's a certain like quest line or things you had to do to get Hub Style, and I never bothered with it. But each of these style changes all come with like an element as well, like Heat Style, Aqua Style, Wood Style, like style. And they were just like they're the element you had. Because Megaman didn't have an element initially. He's like neutral, and these things always came with an element. And it was really fun because it meant you could do certain like things like the Elect style, like regular charge shot, fire like a ring that paralyzed people. The Heat Style one made a flamethrower that went 3 like panels above. Wood Style made a fan that goes 2 ahead of you, but does a lot of damage if it hits. And the Aqua one we had like pretty much a regular like bubble shot. So if it hit like on some objects that can appear on the stage, it would like blow up like bubble and foam behind them and damage them through the air. But also, you get other benefits from it as well, which I did one of my best when I was younger to really abuse. The fun I had because the certain like different types of stages, like we have like ice, grass, sand, lava, and holy. I think there's one other one. It's dark, but I really can't really affect it with my own poison. Like the lava hurts you, the ice is slippery, the ground slows you down, or the sand slows you down. Poison is just like, again, you're standing on a poison panel, you hemorrhage health for like no reason because you're standing there. And hopefully you get reduced health. Now if you're Heat Style on fire panels, you're completely immune. If you're Wood Style on fire panel, or fire damage in general, you get ×2. Because each one of these elements has like a weakness and a strength to it, and a strength kind of deal. Like Fire is good against wood, weak against water. Water is good against fire, but weak to electricity. Electricity is good against water, but weak to wood. And yeah, it has a whole like elemental circle thing, and the panels also reflect that. So for your fire on heat paneling, heat on fire paneling or lava paneling, you're fine. You don't take any damage. If you're water, for aqua style on ice, you take. You don't take damage on ice. What am I thinking about? I'm still on that. You don't slip inside. You're fine. Wood on grass paneling, you actually heal passively. So if you have like a battle chip that can grant you these stages depending on like your style. If you're kind of running low on health, you use the grass stage chip and you start to heal but passively. And it's really fun, and just discovering all this stuff when I was a kid was really fun. I belonged hours and hours and hours into that game. It was just so much fun. It was so good. Now, I mentioned the story briefly before, but on the story when I was a kid was never really important. It was just the gameplay, which is what I've kind of been talking about a little bit, gushing over and saying how much I like it, at least mostly in 3, because 1 and 2 were just 3 but not done as well, so there really wasn't any real deviation, which is why I've really been talking about 1 and 2, because 1 was just regular RPG elements, Mega Man, Mega Buster, battle chips and whatnot, basic. 2 added the style change system, so you kind of got that whole thing going on there. 3 was like the opinion, which I'm talking about 3, because out of the first 3 is my favorite, overall my favorite, Bell Network game. But out of the 3 of them, there really wasn't that much deviation between how it played, which is kind of sort of the same for 4, 5, and 6. So 6 is a bit more deviation, and 5 there's also more, so those 2 are more unique, but that's neither here nor there right now. The story of all of these Mega Man games follows, again, but Lan, Hikari, and Mega Man throughout their adventures, and it wasn't really to me that important. It was just the world in which I had to operate in, kind of deal. I found people around them more interesting, like how Barley was, or I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I've never been 100% certain. This is like Dr. Wily's like son or something like that. And Base's whole experience when he was a regular Navi, and how the human society betrayed him and how he became the way he is. And those were much more interesting to me than Lan's story. I thought Lan's story was interesting. Mega Man's advent was pretty cool because he's actually like the soul of Lan's, I guess, deceased twin brother that his dad did something with, digitize and turn into Mega Man, and I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't realize we could do that. That's pretty cool. Shrug. His name was Hub, hence Hub style, like he's tapping into his human soul or some whatever garbage. So yeah, which kind of makes me wonder, like, in the future when everything is said and done, Mega Man will persist, but everyone he loves and cares about, save for the Navis, will be dead unless he chooses to die with them. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty morbid, but let's not get into that right now. Like, the characters in the actual world itself, they were fine. Again, I found other people more interesting than Lan and Mega Man. They were standard anime protagonist people. So we had Lan, who was like the lazy one, Mega Man the diligent one kind of deal. And we went with, that thing where Mega Man would always be like, hey, do your homework, do your homework. I don't want to do my homework, I want to play, and all the other stuff. But like, come on, like, fine, and all that garbage. And I was like, I never cared. Even now, I only care a bit more because I analyze the story a bit more. Not that they were like terrible. I've read worse stories and played through worse stories, believe me. But this one wasn't terrible, but nor was it like the groundbreaking, like, storytelling kind of deal. So yeah, the story wasn't gonna win any awards, is what I'm saying. How they looked, it was a appropriately, like, I want to say 90s future. By that I mean you had like the future elements, but with a very simplistic, like, oh yeah, the kids had skates because, you know, kids like to skate kind of deal, playing video games, hence the PET, the whole bandana thing that Lan had going on, his vest, his shirt. I mean, it was just like, it was simple, but it kind of screamed of its time as well, because I don't know, it just felt like a late 90s, early 2000s kind of deal. Which isn't bad, it looked fine. I mean, they're very simplistic, average character designs. The Navis were obviously a bit more elaborate because they're cyber. Megaman wears is effectively always in a blue leotard, Rolls in a pink leotard. Gutsman's made of metal. Glide, who should even be here because this is not the future, but whatever. Because I guess the whole point of the Battle Network series is that it's like an alternate timeline to the classic Mega Man series, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get into that right now. This is the, I guess I appreciate some more simplistic character designs. I don't need things being too busy unless you're going for a point here. If it's too busy, you kind of lose me a little bit. I'm not really talking about the story. There isn't really much to talk about. Like, it's pretty, like, it's very, like, it's not so much villain of the week, but it's like, small event happens here where something bad happens. Small event here, something bad happens, Mega Man Land resolve these issues, and it kind of keeps going like that. But I mean, all these incidences are linked usually by the same evil organization, or they're trying to find out more information on this evil organization, so it's linked to that in some way. So, yeah. And then, at the end of it all, we fight Dr. Wily, Dr. Regal, or whomever, Duo. Best duos here. Which, again, when I was a kid, when I first played this game, I never played the original Mega Man 8, so I had no opinion on Duo, which is why I didn't talk about him. Because, again, my first experiences with the Mega Man Battle Network series usually came before my experiences with the Mega Man Classic series, so sorry, that's just how it went. It was my interest in the Mega Man series from Battle Network that got me into the Classic series. But yeah, there was just not a lot going on there. It was pretty boring when it came to story. That's what all of them really. But going off like the first three, the next 3, 4, 5, and 6 introduced the Double Soul system, which was more like the Mega Man being able to copy their abilities and use them system. Like, you had to, like, their souls had to connect or some crap like that, and they make it Double Soul, which consumed a chip of a certain type or attribute. And he went into Roll Soul, Gut Soul, Proto Soul, Kernel Soul. Yes, Kernel's also here, and so on and so forth. All the Double Soul, all the different transformations he had, which was a fine system. I feel like it was not the greatest in Network 4, but only because in Network 4 you couldn't get all 6, and the one playthrough you had to play it twice, because 4 had this linear tournament setting going on here, where it was like, oh, this tournament, and then next one, and then the final third one, and then the final boss, which was at the time Duo, which I thought was interesting. Once I learned who Duo was, like, that's cool. But it just never. It wasn't the greatest done. I didn't like it because I didn't like why did I have to go through 2 separate playthroughs, play this game from the beginning all over again just to get all 6. When again in the previous game I could get any style change I wanted almost whenever I wanted, so long as I followed the path on how to get them, which I learned through just trial and error. What chips could I use, and it wasn't until later in life that I just looked this stuff up if I forgot any of it. So I just didn't much care for 4 in that. And then they had the graphical and art, the graphical change, not really art change, but graphical change, which again I'm just like, well, it's fine. I mean, and the track kind of added a little bit. But I liked the whole look of 1, 2, and 3 a bit more. It was like deeper, richer colors instead of the like kind of soft and fuzzy colors. I want to say that 4, 5, and 6 had via comparison. I don't know, these felt more solid to me when I first looked at it. Coming from 3 to 4, I'm like, this is weird, but hey, okay, it plays about the same. Waiting for my style change and thing happened, I got double soul instead. And the emotion window. Speaking of the emotion window, I mentioned full synchro before. Full synchro is here that Megaman can go into, which is effectively like hub style, I guess. A little bit, like at least harkening to it. And with that, he can with one chip will do ×2 damage. Really, that's about it. And how you get it is pretty much countering. And by countering, you like attack just before an opponent was going to attack and hit it just right. They're in sync, so they give you full synchro. So then your next chip will have ×2 whatever effect it is. Unless it's the healing chip, then it gets nothing, or a stage chip or something like that. And that's about the only real major gameplay difference. All those things. Beyond that, it plays about the same kind of deal. 5 had the... Well, 5 also had liberation missions. Again, 4 wasn't great. I don't really talk about 4 that much. I didn't care for 4 was probably my least favorite. So, yeah. 5 it was okay. I chose Team Colonel since when I was again didn't know who Colonel was, so I didn't just want to choose Proto Man. Much as I like Proto Man, I wanted to choose the new guy. I wanted to be something different, and I wasn't disappointed because Colonel was awesome. And yeah, he's just awesome. I did like the liberation missions. It was very different. That's why I remember 5 over like 4, and even 6, because 6 kind of had that whole like evil spirit thing, and I didn't much like it. It was like I had a limited number of attacks with those stupid spirit weapon things. That was annoying. It wasn't like horrible, but it wasn't great either. Chaos Union was pretty cool, but yeah, in 5. Because in 4 introduced like the dark chip, which I never used. Because once I found out that using them, when you go dark, evil Megaman, you begin to lose health. I guess it's really turned into a review on Mega Man Battle Network 3 because it's what I was talking about, and I apologize. I just want to give a general overview of my feelings on the entire series. But all I've really been gushing about is 3 since it's my favorite. 4 is my least favorite. Dark chips, I don't like them. I barely use them. And the only time I really got into using them was when I've already beaten the game like twice or 3 times. I'm like, I don't care anymore. Look at my health. So I just start using them. Which, after you recover, you get a permanent like minus like 1 or so like in health, and that was annoying, which is why I never used it. Unless it gets absolutely necessary or some crap. I'm gonna say my favorites and least favorites for this part, but I already told you, 3 is my favorite for reason above. They did everything correct for me. Greatest post game for me, had the secret area. It was awesome. And 4 was my least favorite because the whole splitting what I could do between the 2 of them and cutting off certain portions until I got all 6 of them. So I was like, well, what the hell? So that has been this segment. Sorry for like the just kind of choppy nature of it. I just really wanted to, just get some of my feelings out there about it. Why? I don't know. I've always wanted to make a video like this. And I guess I wanted to share my thoughts, see what other people thought of it. And yeah, well, it's been a time. Thank you all for listening and have a nice evening.